Hey guys, it's Maddie. Welcome to my channel. This is my very first video. Yay! So, on this channel, I'll be sharing my English learning journey, what helped me improve, and hopefully some tips that can help you as well. So, let's get into it. I was born and raised in Japan. I never went to an international school, which means I really struggled with English. Like, really struggled. So the first time I seriously started studying English was when I entered university. I liked English. I wanted to be able to speak English, so I chose to study in international department. That decision gave me both the worst and best time in my life. When I first started university, I couldn't speak English at all. Like, not at all. Probably I could say, hello, my name is, my hobby is, or something like that, but that's it. I couldn't say anything at all. Meanwhile, everyone around me seemed so much smarter. They were speaking English confidently and communicating with international students like it was nothing. So that was probably the hardest time in my English learning journey. But somehow, deep down, I just believed that one day I will get better, even though I couldn't do anything yet. I even submitted an assignment incorrectly because I misunderstood what my English teacher had said. In another time, I got 29 points out of 100 on a test because I didn't realize that we were having a test on that day. I completely missed what the teacher said and I didn't study at all and I got 29. That was my skill. So at the beginning of university, I was placed in the lowest English class. But by my fourth year, I had moved all the way up to the highest class. So today, I'd like to share what helped me improve my English skills from zero. At first, I think my TOEIC score was like 200 or 300 or so, which was like really low. But after 6 months or so, after I started studying English, it had gone up to 780. And honestly, I don't even think it took 6 months. I think it was less than that. So, the first thing what I did was memorizing vocabulary. I think this was probably the most important thing because vocabulary is the foundation of every English skill. I used a vocabulary book called TOEFL 3800. Luckily, I had a friend who felt like exactly the same way as me. She became my best friend, by the way, and she also wanted to improve her English skill. Even though she was in a higher English class than me, she wasn't confident and she wanted to improve her English skill. So, we made a promise. Every night at 10 p.m. we did vocabulary tests online. We also had lots of homework from university, so we didn't do like huge amount of vocabulary tests, but we did it every single day. We discussed how much we're gonna do today, and we did a test every single day. And honestly, that was the key. Memorizing vocabulary is not fun, and I would say that's the hardest part of studying English. But for me, memorizing vocabulary changed everything. Once I improved my vocabulary, my reading skill, listening, writing, speaking, all of my English skills improved naturally. So trust me, if you feel like you have no English skill, the key point is starting from memorizing vocabulary instead of doing shadowing, dictation, or whatever that is. You just need to memorize all the vocabulary first. The next thing what I did was memorizing sentences. Memorizing again? Yes. I just wanted to let you know that this is my style, so you don't really have to follow if you feel like this is not your style, but that's what I did. So I often hear people say, oh, you should memorize the line from the movies or from your favorite actors or whatever. But like, that was not for me because I just couldn't remember something that is not about your life or like something that is not related to your life. So instead, what I did was memorizing my own sentences. I also had to take IELTS test, and especially for speaking tests, I had no idea what to talk about. what I did was I researched possible questions and I wrote down the answers for every single question. And then I practiced saying them over and over again. Even when I had my presentation at school in English, I memorized all the presentation so that I don't have to see the script. If I needed to speak spontaneously with no script, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I just needed to memorize everything. So why I think this method is good? Because this is all about me. So first of all, they were much easier to remember. And also later on, I was able to use the same sentences when talking with international students. I started from very, very simple things like my hobbies, blah, 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 because I like doing things or I like going somewhere or blah blah blah. I just memorized all of the part 1 and part 2 possible questions. The interesting thing is that once you memorize enough situations or scenarios, you will notice that you can use the same expressions in lots of different conversations. That gave me a lot more confidence as well. So I recommend this memorizing sentences method because this is not just about IELTS or exam. It's also great practice for everyday conversation as well. So, last thing I focused was pronunciation. When I first started studying English, I couldn't even pronounce simple words, especially L and R, such as rabbit or family or whatever comes with L and R. As Japanese people, it's especially difficult to pronounce sounds like L and R. So I practiced a lot. I used to pronounce like rabbit or like family or something like that. And every time I say like this, my international friend was like, no, rabbit, no, or something like that. It was just like, no, the whole time. My pronunciation was wrong the whole time. Regarding pronunciation, I'll make another video about how I improved my pronunciation. So if you're interested in, you can come back to my channel. Alright. So what helped me the most was listening to native speakers over and over again and trying to copy them. I also practiced phonics as well, if you are familiar with it, so I could pronounce each word more accurately. So one thing I realized that trying to copy native speakers perfectly is difficult. It is actually difficult because we speak different first languages. Of course, it's difficult for me to try copying perfectly. So instead, I found Japanese YouTubers who speak amazing English. Their pronunciation is amazing, but it still sounds like achievable for me because their first language is Japanese. So they also know the tips of how to pronounce difficult words such as literally. If I try to copy the word literally from American person, it'll be like, I can't, like literally or something like that, and I just can't. So I just needed to find a way that I can pronounce, and I found Japanese YouTuber and they pronounce amazing and it's really achievable for me. So what I want to say is I tried to copy Japanese English speaker instead of native speakers because we have different accents and I think that's fine. At the end of the day, English is just a communication. If you can communicate with people, you achieve the purpose of speaking English. So yeah, even for native speakers, they have different accent as well, so that's completely okay. In fact, I think Japanese people often worry about having Japanese accent, but having an accent isn't something to be ashamed of. As long as people can understand you, that's what really matters. So, those are the things what I did when I was starting from the very bottom. I truly believe that doing all of these things helped me improve my English skills. I'm still studying English today, and there is actually a reason why. I'll talk about it in my next video, otherwise it's gonna be too much. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye!